Yo, how's it going? Welcome to the video. Today we're doing a video on Arknights. Now, this is going to be a very basic video. This is going to be simply going through my daily routine, what I do day to day on my main account. I'm currently level 79. I have had a couple breaks from this game, but my daily routine hasn't really changed. Gonna go through a few things. If you're a new player, players return to the game maybe after a long time of having a break, or maybe a veteran. Maybe you'll get something out of this video. Fingers crossed. Anyway, getting straight into it. Currently, I have 128 stamina. One main thing that I first of all do when I play the game is think what character I want to build. If there's anything that ever comes down to for this game is building characters. So currently I have quite a few characters built, quite a few Elite 2s. I still need to work on a lot of the modules, etc. But hypothetically, if I want to build a character, for example, I really want to build Bagpipe. This is kind of how my day kind of goes. I tend to look, okay, she needs to be leveled up, and I want to promote her to Elite 2, for example. You might want to promote your character to Elite 1, etc. Still, same things apply. What I tend to do is I want to go for the level first and then promote. So if I want to level her up, I'm going to need lots of XP. So what I'm going to have to do is potentially farm some XP today, and I might need some LMD. So what I'll do is I'll go home, I'll go over to terminal, and I will go straight to the supplies, and I will farm for right one. So for example, I need LMD. I will go ahead and farm LMD. You always want to make sure you're doing the highest stage because highest stages give you better value, and it goes for all of these. So also once I finish farming LMD, I farm for XP. Now, sometimes you want to maybe adjust this depending on the day because as you can see here, these are open on very specific days apart from XP. So sometimes it might be more worth farming LMD because XP isn't on, because XP is always on anyway. So that's something to take into account. Now, once I've done that, I tend to also look at a character and then think, okay, I want to promote her next. So obviously, if you're trying to promote a character, you want to reach their max level, as you can see at the bottom, just sticking out. And the next thing I tend to do is farm for the chips. Now, when you actually try and get a character from Elite 1 to Elite 2, and they're a 6-star, it does require dual chips, which you have to produce in the factory. I go to a factory, and I go over to chips. If I want to create these, I'm going to need these chips, which I can farm from supplies. So what I'll do, I'll go over home. I will go ahead and go back again to resources, supplies, and I will farm for these chips. Now, obviously, since I'm trying to get from Elite 1 to Elite 2, I can't farm for these small ones because they have no value. I want to farm for these big ones because that's what I need to actually create the new ones in the factory. As simple as. Now, next thing I'm going to need is also to promote her. I'm going to need some of these resources. Now, this is where the specific websites, which are fantastic for this, if you go on to, for example, I'm going to show this now, if it actually shows up this time. There we go. Fantastic. So this is actually a great table just showing off where you can farm for specific resources most efficiently. Now, yellow stages, these are kind of stages where you can farm for these type of resources like 2-3 times, but you tend to really want to farm the efficient stages because in the long run, they will very much help you and progress your account and save you energy in the end, and also give you additional resources you might need down the line. Obviously, you can't farm these other yellow stages or other stages in general, but it will be less efficient. So that's something to take into account. This is a fantastic graph. What I did to actually find this is I searched up Arknights farming stages, and you will find images online. That's my personal recommendation. But that's what I do with resources. Then obviously, I go into a factory and, well, workshop and create them. Pretty basic stuff. Now, next thing I want to do is upgrade my skills, which is pretty much the same thing applies. I can farm for resources here. There is also skill summaries. Skill summaries, I've never run out of skill summaries actually. I tend to just craft the lowest ones to be higher. If you want more of these, you can just farm in supplies again. So like I said, you just go over to resources. You get the gist. This is kind of how it just goes. Obviously, it's not on today, but if I want to, I can farm it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And then my character is pretty much built. And that is my repetitive cycle of what I do. Now, let's say hypothetically, you're not really looking to build a character, or you are trying to progress through the game more than anything. First thing I'm going to say is make sure to do story. No matter what point in the game you are, no matter if you're a starter player, if you just start the game, came back and you're like halfway through the story, or you're a veteran who just hasn't completed the story, this is always valuable to do, mainly because you get resources while doing it. And especially if I go over here, for example, to a stage I've not complete, you can get Arknights. And Arknights is used for skins and pulls. One thing I'm just going to preface now is when you get Arknights, don't just spend it straight away. Try and save it for skins. Skins can be actually quite difficult to acquire sometimes. Some of them don't come back for a very long time. It goes for same for characters, but in general it's better to save them because if you're a free-to-play player as well, this is limited. You can't get Arknights all the time. There's going to be updates where you will just have none if you just end up using all of it. That's my personal opinion. As you can see, I've been saving some. But yeah, doing story in general, very worth doing. Now, next thing is also doing events. Events are pretty much a story, but you can get additional rewards from record restoration. This is pretty decent, honestly. I would just, if you have the currency and you haven't unlocked any of these, make sure to unlock them and actually just do them, just straight up. First stages you do won't actually have a challenge mode, but each of these will give you Arknights, they will give you resources as well, so worth doing. If I go to X stages, these actually do have a challenge mode, which basically is a condition. It's the same for story. You have a condition. Once you do the condition, you can also get an additional Arknights. So 2 Arknights per stage, pretty worth doing. Get resources as well. Bingo. That's kind of the basics of that. Now, some of the more fun things I do day to day is I will do integrated strategies. Integrated strategies is something you can do whenever you want. It does not matter when you do it. Basically, this is just a replayable mode. It is something where it doesn't really matter if you play day to day. It's just fun to do. You get candles for playing through it. Candles give you some of these. It's kind of like a battle pass, but you don't have to pay for any of them. And you have to play this specific mode. Obviously, a lot of these resources are pretty good. LMD used for characters. These things used for characters. These are used for skills for characters. You can also get a skin as well for Phantom, which is a very, very cool skin. I love the skin. And there's also Shalom. If I just scroll down here, somewhere over here, there is a Shalom. Basically, Shalom is a defender operator. You can get him here at 25, which, I mean, he's pretty decent, to be fair. You might want to build him. You might like him. So that's pretty much the basics to that. That's what I tend to do. Obviously, there's also monthly squad. This refreshes every month, so it's not really my daily task, but you want to make sure you're doing them. You get rewards for doing it, so it's worth it. You also get stuff for deep investigation. So make sure you're doing that if you feel like it. Don't have to rush anything. I think worst thing you can do is put too much pressure on yourself when you're playing Arknights, because there's just no need for it. Now, another thing I also want to talk about, this isn't really day to day, it's a weekly thing, is doing annihilation. Annihilation, as you can see here, gives you a random just above me here. 1,775. If I go in here, also at the bottom left, you want to do this every week. You want to max this out. If you want to know how to max this out, for example, if I go to stage I, played 400 enemies in one go, as you can see here, not only have I got the rewards from this, but I can auto deploy, and once I complete the stage, even if I've already completed in the past, it will stack this up weekly. So it will stack up with, like, after I think one win, you will, well, if you imagine, let's just say hypothetically, you kill 400 enemies, which is the maximum for the stage. I think you get about 200, 300-ish a random, and you just keep doing it until you get the maximum. Once you reach the maximum, you can't go beyond that. Very much worth doing. You can also just do these other stages to collect these resources, which basically mean kill 100 enemies, kill 200, etc. If you, for example, lose at 300, just before you reach 300, then you will have to do it all over again. As basics of it. It's pretty cool. I personally very much enjoy it. Always want to make sure you're using your stamina. That is the best advice I can give to anyone. Now, next thing I want to talk about is the base. I hate this. Listen, I'm going to be honest, right? The base system, I'm just going to say this. If you're a person who doesn't like this type of stuff, you don't have to do it. My personal opinion, I don't do it. Basically, what you want to do is go to notifications and collect your resources. If you really feel like it, As you can see here, there's like a warning sign on some of these. Basically, what we have to do is go into operator on these and replace these fatigued operators with operators who aren't fatigued. So for example, take asbestos out and put in cardigan. Boom. That is something you can do. You can also go to overview and do it a bit easier. This is a lot better for some people. Just save your time. If you enjoy doing this, go for it. It's not something I'm really going to talk about because I hate it, to be honest. Then we also have reception room, which gives you credit points, I think. Basically, these are basically used in the store that I'll show you in a second. Doing this is relatively worth it. Basically, you get these clues. Once you fill out these clues and you just keep playing, you will get this unlock exchange. And I think after a little bit of time, it will complete and then you will get some more points. If you want to know what these points are, if we go home, then we go to our store once this loads up. Very quickly, come on game. Come on. All right, there we go. We go to credit store, we will get these points. Every day, you also want to look at a credit store because the credit store will allow you to collect more points here. And if you're a new player, if you collect more points, over time, you can get more operators actually from these. You will get Courier, Gavial, and Dunra. Dunra. Can never say a name properly. Pretty good way of going about things, to be honest. And that moves me on to recruitment. So recruitment is quite an interesting one because recruitment is, this can be a bit time consuming if you make it time consuming. I'm just going to say this now, if you don't know what recruitment is or you don't really understand it, basically you can refresh these tags. So if I just click refresh a couple times, basically these tags allow you to get specific operators. Well, one thing you always want to do is just set it to the highest number, which is 9. So it will take 9 hours. Make sure you're always doing this. I'm not going to get too in depth on it. Make sure you go into 9 hours. And if you get a tag that is a yellow, you get a tag that's a yellow that says senior operator or top operator, make sure to go on an Arknights recruitment calculator. Now, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, here is an Arknights recruitment calculator. This is on Arknights toolbox. You can find this online. Basically, you will get these tags like I showed you on the recruitment tab. If I get a gold one, which are the ones that, to be honest, have the most value and are probably important to actually look at. For example, you can get senior operator, which gives you a 5-star. So if you click senior operator tag and then click recruit, then you will get a 5-star. And if you get top operator, which is also a gold tag, you can get a 6-star. Obviously, 6-star is highest rarity. A lot of the 6-stars are good in their own way, and it's worth doing. It's worth doing if you get a gold tag. If you don't get a gold tag, my personal opinion is set it to 9 hours, like I said, every time. Doesn't matter what, always set it to 9 hours. What you either just want to leave it. So for example, if I just go ahead, this is a little bit more difficult to explain. I don't want to get too deep into this, but basically, you just want to leave this empty and just set it to 9 hours. So don't click any of these, just don't click any of them. But if you do, for example, get shift, you get guaranteed 4-star or above. If you click crowd control, you get a 5-star. If you click nuka, you get a guaranteed 4-star or above. And if you click fast redeploy, you get a 4-star and above. So these are worth doing because you get more green certificates / yellow certificates, which I will go over now. So that's the basics of that. If it's too confusing, just set it to 9 hours. If you get a tag that is gold and not black, go onto an Arknights recruitment calculator. That's all I'm going to say. It'll be worth it. You can figure it out. It's pretty simple to get once you actually select one of them. But why do you want these certificates? So if I go ahead and actually just pop one of these, do I have one of these? Yes. So I'm just going to complete this now. I skipped the 9 hours. Boom. Let me just skip the animation. We have Steward. Steward gives me 5 green certificates. If you summon a 4-star, 5-star, 6-star, you will get more. Why are these useful? Because if you go into store, go to certificates, you can get pulls from these green ones. So first one, you get first phase, you get random and headhunting permits. Once you buy all of this stuff, you can move on to second phase and you can get these other headhunting permits. Generally, once you actually reach the second phase, I wouldn't really buy anything else, personally in my opinion. I would just save them for the next reset, which is at the bottom right. Now, if you get yellow certificates from 4 stars, 5 stars, or 6 stars, which you will have to do via token exchange, right, there we go. I only got green ones because I fed my steward, so he doesn't actually give me any yellow because he is a 3 star. If we go over here, you can get a character, which is very, very good. Never go for the never go for the 5 star. Always go for the 6 star. Very, very worth doing because you're guaranteed you know what you're getting. What you can also do is get these headhunting permits, which are pulls. Now, with these pulls, the one thing I'm going to say now is never buy these unless you can buy out all phases. As you can see, first one is costing me 10. So 1 costs 10. Next phase is 18, but it gives me 2. Next is 40, gives me 5. You want to buy out all of these. Never buy out just a couple of them because it's just not worth it. You lose out a lot on value in terms of actually getting pulls. So always want to make sure you either buy all of these or you buy the actual character. Now, obviously, you don't have to buy the headhunting permits if there's no actual character coming you want. But in general, I think it's just better to go for the character. It refreshes from time to time, so you will get a different one. As you can see, it says 7 days. Be replaced by someone else. Pretty simple stuff. And last thing I kind of wanted to talk about, and this won't actually be very confusing at all, there's missions. You have dailies and you have weeklies. These are my dailies. Do them day to day, you get a random. You also get this, which lets you skip annihilation once you've done it. You will understand at some point it will give you a different kind of option for auto deploying, which I'll show you in a second. There's also weeklies. You always want to make sure you're doing your weeklies. You get stamina, and also you can get more random. That is the good stuff. There's also campaign missions, but this isn't really a daily task. But if you want to do campaign missions, go for it. They can give you stuff at the end of the day. It still can be helpful for you. But going over just how these work, let me show you. So if you do your dailies every day, you fully do them. If I go over to something I've already complete, basically you can auto deploy and then total proxy, which skips it for you. So you don't have to actually watch the auto deploy. That's a pretty good way of just skipping it and just saving your time. That's pretty much the basics of this. Hopefully you found this useful. This video took me a little while to make, and I feel like my breath is slowly running out. If you found anything helpful in this, please do comment down below. Honestly, if someone found anything helpful from this, I'm going to feel so much better about myself. You know, it kind of makes it more worth it, especially since I pulled for Stainless, the most OP unit in the game. Like we say this now, Texas is just not as good as Stainless. Stainless is the most overpowered unit in the game. No one can deny it. To be fair, he's probably better than literally everyone in the game. Anyway, I will see you next one, and have a good day, and goodbye.